Welcome to a new Daily Top AskReddit video. Today's topic:
what's a bitter life lesson you learned from your longest relationship? Some people are capable of lying with a completely straight face for a long time. Laughing at jokes that hurt my feelings is a skill I learned early. I didn't expect it to be one of the biggest issues with communication in relationships. Taking little hit after little hit until it all comes out during an unrelated argument. I really dislike it about myself, and it's one of those things that stays buried even in therapy. Hard to confront the behavior when I forget it happens. It's embarrassing. Loving someone the way you wish to be loved doesn't guarantee they'll reciprocate in the same way. It actually guarantees they won't if it's too hard. The partner that loves least has the most control. Some people will use this to their benefit. I learned that you should always trust your gut. There were so many red flags that I failed to acknowledge. Life story. Someone said that hell is meeting the person you could have been. I agree with that. What people do is a million times more revealing than what they say. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard: when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Closure is not real, and you need to find a way to settle with that within yourself. My dad and mom divorced when my sisters and I were really young. Mom cheated on him behind his back because he wasn't a good husband. My dad was fortunate enough to have gotten majority custody, raised us and helped us grow. He was and is an excellent father and man. Everyone in my life has told him exactly that: you're a great father and great man. Quote, everyone is civil even after the divorce. My parents are cordial and can be in the same room, share old stories, even ones when they were married. But, just last year, 30 years later, my dad asked my sister and me, do you think it would be weird if I asked Mom what I did wrong? Why I was a bad husband? We obviously knew it had nothing to do with wanting to get back together, but he continued to say, I really feel like I would like that closure. I remember hearing someone say, you can have 27 people give you a compliment in a row and you start to believe it. But it only takes one person's negative comment to change your mind. I told him that and said, Mom is only one opinion. You have 30 years worth of family, friends and even strangers confirming that your character shines through outside of her own comment. You don't need her closure to know you're a good man. You're a good man because you are. Quote, 100% closure will end up with insults or someone trying to fix things or have sex again. Her needing closure ended with her traveling overseas with him. I didn't know he would be there, and me ending the engagement. They're married with 2 kids. Glad that closure worked out. Real closure is writing yourself off from who they were supposed to be, and trying to forgive why they were the way they were. Talk about your end-of-life wishes early. Shit can go wrong way earlier than you think it will. My husband had a near-fatal brain hemorrhage, and when it was looking like he wouldn't pull through, I had to make a lot of decisions without knowing what his wishes were, because we'd only been married 18 months and thought we'd have plenty of time to figure those things out. He thankfully made an excellent recovery, but it was a scary time full of uncertainty. Sorry to ask, but what would those things be? ? No need to apologize. Those things are things like whether or not to use a do not resuscitate order or to switch off life support, whether or not to donate organs, do you want to be buried, cremated, other, etc. One of the toughest lessons I learned from my longest relationship is that love alone isn't enough to make a relationship work. You can care deeply for someone, but if communication, trust, and mutual respect aren't there, love won't fix the cracks. It's painful realizing that sometimes, no matter how much you invest, some people just aren't right for each other, and walking away can be the healthiest choice. Yeah, I truly never understood the saying, love isn't always enough, until I lived it myself. Eventually, even if you love someone, if they constantly treat you poorly or they don't meet your needs, then it will eat you inside and resentment takes over any love you did have. People can keep up a facade for a pretty long time. Years even. Their whole life if needed. Don't ever put anyone on a pedestal. Especially if they have bad balance. I hate being put on a pedestal. It is a red flag for me at this point. Often with people who do this, they don't really like you that much, just the character you play in their imagination. There is nothing close to unconditional love in this world. All love has conditions. Relationships shouldn't be unconditional love. If someone disrespects, demeans, abuses or cheats on you, you should leave. Or even if someone is just making you miserable. Those are perfectly reasonable conditions on which to base your love for someone. Unconditional love is for children and animals, not adults building a life together. You can't trust anyone 100%, not even yourself. I'm fortunate Stone Cold Steve Austin taught me this when I was 11 years old. You cannot fix the other person's childhood trauma, and the first time they let you know they're not interested in getting help, believe them. Falling out of love is just as mysterious and unexplainable as falling in love. Slightly terrifying. It should not though. Believing in recovery should be the norm. Everyone ends up for the same or better. I'm saying that, but I'm not yet there still though, emotionally hard, but I do believe now. It's sobering to wake up one day, look at a significant other and realize you have no spark and no inspiration left. That only happens when you don't tend things. It's never a surprise. Holy fucking shit, this gave me a visceral reaction. It's exactly the struggle and dread I faced in the last couple months of my relationship. It felt like suddenly she was a stranger. Hated myself for it for so long. I slowly put the pieces together and made sense of it, but it turned my view on human connection upside down. Completely disagree. Love is a verb. It's running, it's working, it's playing. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you just don't want to do it. But ultimately, you need to honestly evaluate if loving a specific person is giving enough value to warrant the work being put into it. If your partner isn't putting in the work, then, yeah, you're wasting your time and effort. But loving someone is a conscious choice. Yeah, I agree. It may be possible, but I don't know a single person, including myself, who has fallen out of love for no reason whatsoever. There are always reasons, but sometimes people don't know them on a conscious level. Also, falling out of love isn't a death knell. Lots of couples fall back in love if both parties are willing to put in the work. Relationships have ebbs and flows just like everything else in life. If they don't know what they want, choose yourself. Communication is vital, and neglecting it leads to misunderstandings and resentment. Over time, failing to express feelings, needs, or concerns can create distance between partners, making it harder to reconnect. Absolutely, and even if you think you're a good communicator, think again. I realized after my divorce how poor I actually was at communicating. Communication is also a two-way street. I think I'm good at communicating in the way I would like someone to communicate to me. This is not necessarily the way that my husband likes to be communicated with, and that's important. I'm very direct and prefer to address issues in the moment as they come up. My husband prefers to take a beat and talk about things later after some time to process. This is just one example, but it took us some practice to realize this about each other and work to meet in the middle. Sometimes you'll never get a real reason for things or closure, and that has to be okay. You have to give yourself closure. Sometimes the closure is the fact that they were too emotionally immature to give you the respect of an ending. Removed. Wise words. I still love him, but I hate the way he treats me. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to change. Along with that, don't care about someone else's problems more than they do. A bitter lesson I learned from my longest relationship is that love isn't enough. Communication and mutual respect are essential. People move away from pain and toward pleasure, so if your hard times are persistent, people will begin moving away, even if it doesn't seem fair. It's human nature. Oh, this is a good one. Some people radiate hurt and need thinking it will signal care, and it might at first for a while, but it eventually does the opposite. Also applies for situations where no one is at fault, a cancer diagnosis and long painful drawn-out treatment. Separate bank accounts. Oh yeah. My first relationship ruined my credit for some time. He overdrew our accounts, maxed our credit cards, stopped paying on the car I co-signed on, all because I ended it with him. Lesson learned. Abusive partners don't grow up and finally become loving ones. They get worse. Love yourself first before any relationship. That way you're always with someone who loves you no matter what happens. Appreciate every moment. Everything can end at any second. The good die young and pricks live forever. Trying to be loving and funny is always a good idea. Shit happens, you can do everything right, choose the right partner, build a solid relationship and still end up a single mother. Nobody is safe from random accidents and death. No matter how much you try and change, you can't make someone love you. If you lose that initial spark, it's over. Believe when they show you who they are. Actions matter more than words. The love most friendships have is greater than most romantic relationships. You can talk every day and say you love each other, but then she can break up with you through text for no reason and you never see each other again. The friend you watch sports with or whatever will still be stoked to see you 10 years from now. This is true. Appreciation without possession is true love. Realizing that sometimes, love isn't enough. No matter how much you care, if mutual respect and understanding aren't there, the relationship won't work. Even the most effortless, natural bonds will wither away if you don't take care of them. It's like taking care of your own body. You have to take care of it, love it, be tough on it, but you have to cater to its needs. I've learned that even the person you thought would not hurt you could still hurt you, even after you've told them about your past experiences. If someone gives you a long list of changes about yourself that you have to make, they never loved you. And making said changes won't make them love you, but they will make you hate yourself. Maybe it's an opportunity to grow. Depends, right? Example, you gotta quit being a drunk because you're fucking things up, including the kids. You're painting with too broad of a brush. People change, and when you've been with someone for years or decades, then they can change a lot. Sometimes for the better, sometimes not. That I needed to pay more attention to the red flags and take off the damn rose-colored glasses. I was picking terrible self-absorbed weirdos. Thankfully that worked, and I've been in a healthy long-term relationship with my wonderful boyfriend for 3 years. There's no hurry, we will have the rest of our life together, can apparently easily mean, there is a lot of hurry BC, I'm breaking up with you in 8 days smiley face. That, love, doesn't really last, it will almost always come to an end, come and go. You have to choose to still stay and put the effort in if you want the relationship to work. That's why being friends with your partner is maybe even more important than being in love.